This video is on finding the inverse, sine, cosine, and tangent. So here we have a triangle with a hypotenuse of 10. So aquí tenemos un triángulo con una hipotenusa de 10. We know this is the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90-degree angle. Sabemos este lado es la hipotenusa porque está frente del 90 grados. And if we're looking at angle M, so si necesito que mirar el ángulo M, then that means that 5 is the opposite. Este significa 5 es el lado opuesto. So I have opposite and hypotenuse. So remember, sine is when we have opposite over hypotenuse. Recuerdas, seno es cuando tenemos opuesto sobre hipotenusa. Cosine is when we have adjacent over hypotenuse. Coseno es cuando tenemos adyacente sobre hipotenusa. And tangent is when we have opposite over adjacent. Y tangente es cuando tenemos opuesto sobre adyacente. So we have O and H, which means I'm going to use sine. Tenemos O y H. Entonces, ese significa necesito que trabajar con seno. So sine equals the opposite over hypotenuse. But I need to find the inverse. So I'm going to use this little symbol here with my angle. So the inverse sine of angle N, entonces el inverso seno de M is equal to opposite, which is 5, over hypotenuse, which is 10. So now what I do is I go to my calculator and I have to make sure I'm in degrees. So recuerdas, tiene que clic ese botón aquí para obtener grados. If this button is black, then you're good. Si este botón es negro, está bien. But if this button is gray, pero si ese botón es gris, then you have to click the button. Si este botón es en gris, tiene que click el botón. So now I'm going to click INV for inverse. Ahora voy a click este botón aquí, dice inverso. And now I'm going to choose inverse sine. Y ahora voy a escoger el inverso seno. And now I'm going to put in 5 divided by 10. And this answer is 30. So I know that the measure of angle M is 30 degrees. Entonces, la medida de ángulo M es 30 grados. And here we have the angle, y aquí tenemos el ángulo. We have the hypotenuse, tenemos la hipotenusa, and we have the side that is close to the angle. Y tenemos el lado más cerca del ángulo. So, this is the adjacent. Entonces, este es el adyacente. So, A and H means that we are going to use cosine. So, A and H means that we're going to use cosine right there. So, necesitamos que usar coseno. So, cosine is equal to A over H. Coseno es igual a adyacente sobre hipotenusa. But now we're going to do the inverse cosine of M. Pero ahora vamos a hacer el inverso coseno de ángulo M. And that's equal to 8 over 14. Y es igual a 8 sobre 14. Again, I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm in degrees, estoy en grados. I'm going to click inverse, voy a click inverso, and now I'm going to click this button here, the inverse cosine, inverso coseno. So I click that, and now I'm going to do 8 divided by 14. And so I have 55.15. So angle M is equal to 55.15. But again, now I'm going to round this. So I'm going to put my little line here. I look to the right, and this number here is 5 or bigger. So this number is going to go up 1, and then everything else stays the same. Aquí miramos a la derecha, este número es 5 o más, entonces por eso la 1 cambia a 2. So angle M is 55.2 degrees. And again, we have angle M. Now I have my big line and I have my short line. Tengo mi línea larga y mi línea corta. The long line is the line that's opposite. It's the side that's opposite. So, la línea larga representa el lado opuesto. And the short line represents the adjacent side. So la línea chiquita representa la adyacente. So A and O means that I'm going to use tangent. So voy a usar tangente porque tengo O y A. So tan is equal to the opposite over adjacent. Tangente es igual a opuesto sobre adyacente. And now I'm going to do the inverse tan of angle M. Ahora voy a usar el inverso de tangente con ángulo M, and that's equal to the opposite over adjacent. So again, I'm going to go into my calculator. So I have to put in 3 over 8. So now, again, I'm in degrees. I have to click inverse. Estoy en grados. Tengo que click inverso. And now I'm going to choose inverse cosine. Y ahora necesito que escoger inverso tangente. And now I put in 3 divided by 8. Ahora pongo 3 sobre 8. And now I get 20.55. So M is equal to 20.55. Again, I have to round this. So we look to the right. This number is bigger. It's 5 or bigger. So this number changes to a 6, and we keep the rest. So aquí miramos a la derecha, este número es 5 o más, entonces este cambia un espacio arriba y además no cambia. So that means that angle M is 20.6 degrees.